cloud.
I knew the call was starting, but I just missed it. Almost missed it.
I am now going to share the screen. Okay. All righty.
Find myself in.
So, yeah, so welcome everyone to the July 20th edition of the MicroProfile Live Hangout. A link, is it in the chat? Anyone paste the link? Can someone paste the link? Actually, I'm here. I can probably do it. All right. There we go. I think that's it. Yeah, there we go. A link to the meeting minutes is in the chat, and please click on the link and add your name to the list of attendees. And it's everyone's shared responsibility to take notes, and this will be uploaded to YouTube along with a chat. So both will be uploaded to YouTube later today or sometime early tomorrow. Okay, so I am just going to kind of rely today a lot on the, I guess, group leads, discussion leads, but I did add one to the top just as a reminder to everyone, if you haven't voted yet on the MicroProfile working group steering committee meeting minutes, please do so. There's a link at least to the archive, so just please do that. Thank you, Kevin, for updating that. All right, I have a couple of other working group related things, but those are covered under the normal topics. Okay, so releases.
And before we go, this is Amelia. Before we go, I just wanted to say that I noticed yesterday that no one has added any topics. Clearly, we were not ready for this call. So what I did was add the template and pull a bunch of different topics from threads. So it's here. So let's be cautious. And if we end earlier, which I doubt it, so be it. But really, there was no preparation, which is amazing. We have been in too many calls. A break would have been nice. But anyway, it's just my way of saying, let's do this.
Well, I mean, normally I do it, but I was on PTO.
No,
so, and I'll be on. Oh, actually, next week is the technical call. I'll be on PTO next Monday as well. So
yeah, so it's not your fault. It's everyone's responsibility to fill out, to copy paste the template and do it.
All right. So anyway, I did fill it out this morning, along with I think Emily and others as well. So we're a little bit late, but we got it done. So for the releases, Edwin, Emily on 4.1.
Yeah. I'm happy to announce that today we released 4.1. So you can see it in GitHub already. And it should show up in Maven Central soon, I guess. So it was a little bit of a tough process, but we got through it and it's there.
Yeah, I would like to say the highlight is this is the first release, spec release. We ended the ballot before 14 days. So we managed ended in 12 days. So this is pretty awesome. Thank you all.
Oops.
Could this be updated on the website and everything, or is it later?
I think it will be done later.
Okay.
We need to do the marketing. We need to engage the marketing and then get all the marketing materials updated as well.
Okay, just let me know if you need any, I'll take care of the stuff on the website.
Yeah, Ryan, that takes Emily, sorry to interject here. We have a process for this, and it follows the Git tickets and it's documented in the wiki. So if we need to, Edwin, you said that it was a little bit painful. So in the technical side, I imagine we do have the marketing side in Beijing that is documented, and I think we need to revise it. If things have changed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Git ticket, show you what we have from the past, and then together we can adjust what it is, because we don't just go and privately connect. We just use Git issues and we make it iterable. So I think we will need to revise what currently is on all sides before it goes to the website and all these things. FYI to everyone, work is coming on that side.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. So the next step is to raise a Git issue and to engage the marketing, and get it properly announced.
And Emily, you know where the document is, right? It's in the repo for marketing. But if we need to copy and duplicate it in the working group repo, let's connect on a Git issue. If you can submit it, then we can see what we have and move forward just effortlessly. And this is a status quo, so let's not tackle it here. But if you can start it, we can tackle it with everyone. That would be great.
Yeah, I will work with Edwin. I will assist Edwin. Edwin, I will find you to Edwin.
Is there a step in the release process that says communicate or talk to marketing?
Yes.
It now says tweet about it, but I have to update it with the exact marketing template or ticket.
We
So,
have yeah, Edwin, we have documentation on this for the last few years, but we need to update it because we add tweets on implementations, the updates, and add tweets on new members. So we have updated the document, and it needs more updates based on this release, right?
I think the instructions scattered all over the place is maybe because now we do have a wiki for the release. Maybe we will just in that wiki, overall wiki, we point to the engage with the marketing, etc. Because people follow the wiki, there's
correct
no knowledge of how to do the marketing.
Correct. We need to add that as in the template, and it's not added yet because we didn't have this part. So it's going to be super cool.
That was going to be my question that Emily just clarified. So we don't have everything in the wiki currently. We're kind of split between a few different places.
We're going to put everything together.
Who's going to take the action and put everything together?
Emily, Edwin, and I. Because the documentation exists, it just needs to be linked. So Emily,
I heard Edwin and Emily get volunteered. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, they are
pushing.
I heard you agree.
It's part of the process.
It's part of the process. They have been pushing the release, so it's normal. And I'm coming from that other side of operations, and we will put all together, and it's going to be simple. Git tickets, let's push it. Painful, not painful.
Yeah. Let's make sure the wiki is kind of properly document every step.
Yeah, so the wiki is technically up to date, but the marketing, we need to add that. It's done again.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go back and take a look at that as well. Okay. So are we done with 4.1? Are there any other issues related to the release of 4.1?
I think it's completely done.
Okay. Yeah, I completely forgot about updating the slide deck, but that'll be pretty painless. Okay, so I'll take care of that. I took an AI on that. MicroProfile 5 update, Emily.
Yeah, so this one actually is happening, and is I create an issue and tracked all the spec updates. So config is kind of the release candidate was done, and then there's a PR for fault tolerance metrics, Westerkamp, I think GWT as well, and open tracing. I think also we got Felix Wang volunteering, and then we all open API need to happen. Change needs to happen there. And health as well. So basically, it's a couple spec need to do the update, and also the standalone specs all have the same issue. So they can happen they can do the work in their own pace because 5.0 will not include them. So the next major thing is the implementation to pull the consumer API. For the specs, Open Liberty implement, we were going to use the transformer, directly transform them. I know Roberto is doing a prototype on the small ROI for the make sure config the JakartaOne alignment can be successfully released. Maybe Roberto, do you want to say anything? I know you have been working on that.
Yeah, I haven't got much time to work these on the last couple of days. I made some adjustments to the parent POM and tried a couple of builds. So far, the prototype seems to be working, but I'll probably still need to adjust a couple of things. I'll need to dedicate some more time to it the next couple of days.
Great, thank you, Roberto.
Question on that. I know Open Liberty already uses the transformer for the Jakarta stuff.
Yeah.
Are you guys thinking that maybe you would want to be, one of the CIs for the 5.0 release?
Yeah, it's for the fault tolerance matrix REST client JWT. We can easily do that. Config because we consume a small right config, so it's would be nice. Small right config can update it. But worst comes worst, if a small right can't do that, we could do the binary transformation as well. So, but I would rather probably source code transfer update is more preferable. So we have a few options.
Okay.
Yeah, we had some talking and it's working not big.
Any other comments on 5? The question is going to become whether or not we can tackle this by October. Right, that's the technically the last release of the year that we have in MicroProfile. I know things got shifted around a bit because of the working group and 4.1 coming in a little bit late. But do we still have kind of a soft stake in the mud, for lack of a better phrase?
That's pretty solid.
October?
To be very realistic, we're like a month away, right? Or a work month away, because we're in the end of July mostly. So August is going to be like a vacation period for most of us. So then basically we have September to work on that.
Yeah, valid point.
Yeah, I think is if we say try probably maybe the kind of November. I will say maybe it's end of November, early December. That will be good. But we just keep on making progress, and then we can shift the dates. We can shift the dates as we go along. Yeah, I think Q4 sounds good. It's just
and it's a target, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll just see what we can do.
Yeah. So it's I think it's once we can release the config and the rest will come quite quickly.
And I think this time we just need to make sure that it doesn't happen the Christmas week. Right? Christmas week is great, it's a good gift, but remember the stress many of you felt when most of us were out? Well, it got a lot of documentation done, but if we can skip the last 2 weeks of the year, that would be amazing. We should write it here and say, avoid the last 2 weeks of the year, just to be in consensus.
You could say that's a present for Christmas,
Well, anyway, yeah, let's just, we'll target Q4. We'll see what happens, right? As the rest of the year progresses, I guess.
So are the just a quick question or two, the APIs listed there for MicroProfile 5 are the only ones getting updated? There was config, metrics, fault tolerance.
Yes.
Oh no, it's all the 8 MicroProfile specs.
Yeah, they would all have to.
Yeah, they are all listed. Are they? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So this one I'm making progress. I mentioned the open
I see.
API.
Yeah.
Need to happen. I just say I'm making progress. The rest haven't made any progress yet.
Okay, but the plan is to have all 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And just another FYI too, JakartaOne is supposed to be December 7th this year. That might be a nice target to have it MicroProfile 5 out before then.
Yeah, good thought. That'll be nice. Announce in the JakartaOne live.
Yeah.
We don't commit, but it's nice to know. And before, when we chose the MicroProfile releases 3 times a year, we chose them to align with the major events like the Nexus, JakartaOne, and something else. I can't remember in June if we had DevX or something, and it worked great. But now we keep it up. We keep the dates trying to be 3 times a year, but we have not allocated it to any event or adjusted the dates. We're very flexible, which makes sense. And it's nice you remind us of JakartaOne English.
Yes.
Yeah, right. There's a differentiation here.
Yeah.
It's, there are many regional ones, and that is supposed to be the main one, but I call it English, right? Because, right?
Well, I think it's great that they have the different languages, the different
amazing.
Represented. Yeah.
So amazing.
But yeah, no, I just because I know there's micro-profile related talks at JakartaOne, so that's why I'm mentioning it.
Yeah, I've got just on that vein, we're actually running an in-person Java event in Chicago in that week.
Oh,
wow, we can double announce it.
JConf, which was online last year, is going to be a live event in December. So I am sure there will be some talks on MicroProfile.
Nice.
Vince, send the update to the community with the event, because I also forgot about it. Can you send it to the community and say, hey, the event, and do your thing, because you're amazing on that, and then we can follow. I think the talks are already chosen, correct? There is no
no, it's open for another 2 weeks. So actually, I will send a note out.
You're behind. Send it today, and so amazing to have you.
I promise.
All right.
Okay. So I have a question about standalone specs, and I know that from a platform perspective, it's not impacted by standalone specs, but implementations are, right? So just I guess a question for implementors of MicroProfile, is there going to be any issue with having the core platform spec having one namespace, and if the standalone specs are not updated, having a different namespace?
There will be issues with that. I think it's that's why the top issue, also open a separate issue all for all the standalone specs. So this is the same thing for the 4.0 release. We align with Jakarta EE8, and the standalone eventually has to do all this update to align with Jakarta EE8. Otherwise, they can't work with MicroProfile 4.0. So however, they can come early in January time. Basically, the brief period time, they won't be able to work with the 5.0. But the good thing is the 5.0 had no functionality changes. So they can continue work with the 4.1.
All right, yeah, just a little bit of food for thought. Maybe it's a topic that we can discuss at the technical meeting, which is this time next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
And may I say that before that call, I think the topic should be socialized in the community forum to prepare anyone that is interested to join the call and be prepared to discuss. I find sometimes that we wait for a call to discuss something when we should be discussing it online. We're trying to do better, but sometimes we lack, and we need to call ourselves out and police that we can do better at communicating things, especially with respect to releases and technical alignment and architectural vision.
Okay, I think that's not a bad idea. Have the agenda set ahead of time. I mean, technically we're supposed to anyway, so we should do that. Okay, specification process, TBD and Emily.
Yeah, so it's we discussed the starting new spec process. And then it's in the we discussed this in one of the meetings, and then I took a to-do and to kind of standardize our process. So basically, it's kind of formalize the process is that I put a proposal here and it's sent to both MicroProfile and the MicroProfile working group. One is the sandbox and then create a project creation plan. So that's directly the second step is the same as Jakarta. Dimitri had some suggestions and asked the step 1 to be optional. So basically, it's not necessary you need a MicroProfile dash put in the MicroProfile dash sandbox, and then some spec maybe directly jump to step 2. So I think maybe it's a good time for us to discuss this and formalize the process, because I think this affect both GraphQL and also open telemetry proposal.
So this sounds like another really good topic for the technical call. So I guess Emily and Roberto is kind of co-hosts of that call. You might want to add these last 2 items we discussed to the agenda. I mean, it's up to you guys, right? Yeah.
Sure.
As to what it is for the next meeting, but it sounds like these are topics for that technical call.
I'm on vacation next week, so I won't be able to provide my vision of that on the technical call. So if we want to discuss it on the technical call, we should do it not on the next one, but the one after that.
Yeah, sure.
But Dimitri, that is a problem and exactly what I'm talking about. We need to do a little bit better at using the written form to socialize information. People take vacation and all of us are doing different things. I think we're focused too much onto what happens in a call. And if you don't join, you missed the opportunity and something gets set up and cement and it's very difficult to change. I am warning everyone. I joined only once a technical call for MicroProfile since we started. And I did so because it was urgent and for that reason. And I thought we could do better. That was pretty much my feedback on that call months ago. And I see no improvement. So I am asking everyone, can we please be kinder and use mediums that work like written? Because we will miss bringing diversity and diversity feedback to fit the holes. We might not be able to cover everything right now because we can iterate, but we are making the mistakes of thinking that only the call is the place to go and discuss. That is not the way we route. If something comes up, immediately send it like we did in the steering committee call. We have 2 topics to discuss in the branding for the MicroProfile project. And we send on that day, 2 topics to the community. Can we do that? And not to the working group, but to the community. So that is my rant
That's
today.
a little long. So I was waiting for a little window there.
Go ahead.
And that's all valid. Do we want to delay until after summer vacations, opening up the can of worms of technical alignment, especially if Dimitri's not going to be able to attend? I mean, that.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
good
this
point.
is interesting because during the steering committee call, the JakartaOne earlier today, we scheduled the off week for the Jakarta meeting is next week. We scheduled the CN4J call, which is intended to be abstract. So I sent an email out to the CN4J alias, to the Google group, MicroProfile Google group, and working group alias about the call. Now I know, Dimitri, that you don't plan to be there, and it's not intended to solve specific issues. I think it's more about defining scopes and how we intend to interact in this very first call. But this is a very interesting point, right? We're supposed to have alternates for a lot of these calls. So for example, when I go on PTO, we're going to have Kevin run the call. This is a kind of an interesting subject. I agree with Amelia that we should conduct as much as we can in the forums as well. But I don't know.
Can I just
Go ahead, Emily.
sorry, just say a couple of words. I think to further to what David said, I think this is not a technical aspect, is pretty much a process. I feel like maybe it's makes more sense to be discussed here, since we are all here. Or maybe just if you think that there are more things to cover, maybe leave like 5 or 10 minutes. Do we have other urgent items to cover?
Today, yeah, there's a few things we need to probably get to. We could continue the discussion if there's time at the end.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on, and then I'm guessing there's going to be time left over where we can kind of come back to this topic. Community outreach.
I'm not aware of anything. I haven't been in touch with either Emerson or Chandra.
I will say that we sent on the MicroProfile side for SWAG, we sent a staff last 2 Fridays ago, or one Friday. I cannot remember. I took vacation as well, but it's in the Git issues to a few SWAG is the old T-shirt that is before the budget gets applied to new SWAG with new logos and things like this. And that was for the people that waited in 2020 through all the struggles of the working group to say to them, thank you. And soon in at the end of Q3, we will have a new T-shirt, new implementation shirt, and this stuff, and it will be, hopefully delivered globally to anyone, any MicroProfile, any adapter, anyone that is doing stuff to push the technology forward. So I haven't updated that here, no time, but I should, because it's part about community outreach, and it's important that we appreciate those that are doing things to add value to this community, and also because it's fun that someone can wear the T-shirt, the proper T-shirt.
All right, anyone else? Okay, moving on to budget. I'm guessing this might, I'm not sure if this is why Paul joined or not, or he's just enthralled with our conversation. Or
was that is that directed to me?
Yeah, just
having fun.
Paul.
At you?
No, just having fun. So we have the fact that the budget was it was approved. So I sent out an email. The reason I was oops, wrong one, looking here, I did send out an email this morning showing that the ballot completed and the budget proposal passed, but it's not showing up here in the archives. And I'm noticing that the archives seem to be getting, very unreliable. Emily verified that she did receive the email, so it looks like it did successfully send. It's just not showing up in the archives in a timely manner.
Yes, sometimes that does happen, but normally at the most I've seen is like the next day, then the archive gets updated. But if it's more than that, then maybe you need to ping the infrastructure team.
Yeah, I replied on a different issue late last week. It might have been the approval of the meeting minutes, and it didn't show up. And in fact, I thought I didn't do it. And so I voted again, and I went back and I checked my sent list, and now there's 2+1 from me. And that was last week. So I'll give it a day or two and see what happens. And then otherwise I'll open up an issue on that. So that aside, the budget has passed. I don't know if anyone has comments on that.
Jan, send a nice email starting the conversation. Jan, you're here, right?
Yeah, as we discussed yesterday, yeah, I had an idea, some inspiration I got from the Adoptium working group and how we do the budget operation there. And so I resent my comment with my vote to the both mailing lists. So on the one from the steering committee, the Eclipse Foundation could give an official reply from their side to that topic, and to be able to discuss that for the community. I also forwarded to the MicroProfile working group mailing list.
I read that email and I didn't quite I didn't completely, I mean, I got it at a high level, but is it possible you could give us like a demo, or is any of that data that you're talking about kind of publicly available, or maybe you could give us like a
Not at the
mocked up
moment.
version?
The budget and the program plan, including the budget, is already in preparation.
Okay.
The working group was created recently, and all these things are collected together now. But basically, the project was run by LGC as Adopt OpenJDK and moved to the Eclipse Foundation. And it's basically a very big CI/CD pipeline with a lot of cloud infrastructure providers for different platforms like Solaris and even the exotic ones. And Eclipse Foundation took over most of these accounts and let them be official suppliers of the Eclipse Foundation. And then currently the budget documentation will be created, and also a budget committee was found with 3 people, I think, taking care of the account operation and accounting, and give reports to the working group during the steering committee meetings. They are not recorded, so I cannot give you a link. But basically what we decided in that group, I'm not member of the steering committee in that working group, but I would like to have access to the source data. So the working group decided that is available for working group members in the drive. So I can prepare myself and make suggestions for optimizations on the budget, for example, finding a cheaper supplier or refactoring something, or trying to get a sponsorship for some of that suppliers, for example. Yeah, and that is available for the working group members, not only the steering committee and budget committee members. The budget committee members, of course, and the steering committee members have wide access to that data and form from that the numbers in the budget. There was a prediction of the costs until the end of the year that formed the budget. Running the budget started with Q3 before it was responsible to LGC. And yeah, I'm looking forward to get a report soon. And that's a good thing, I think. The budget committee can have a detailed look and work closely with the EMO to get count numbers and take care that the planned expenses are the same or within the limits of the budget of the count expenses.
So
it'd be great to get like a presentation or something like that, just to kind of, or
yeah,
or something.
After my vacation, I'm from tomorrow 2 weeks off, and then I can have a look at the next meeting, and if there's something available, then I could try to prepare.
Yeah, so Sharon will respond, Jan, to your email.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
So watch for the response. And there certainly are some, let's say with every working group that is created, there's some unique circumstances that are accommodated and handled as during the formation phase. So Adoptium was special, as was MicroProfile. So some of those situations factor into how the process is followed in order to onboard the working group and set them up to be successful.
Yeah, nice.
And John, you're so amazing. I have to say, I really appreciate you bringing this up. And I know you have been working on this and being so transparent. And I have to say, I really like how careful the Adoptium group has been, especially with your input, since you represent so many JAGs, and how you put yourself in different positions, even though you have access, so that no one is left behind on accountability and responsibility when we talk about budgets, and that this can impact not only the 17 projects under the Eclipse Foundation, but the 400 that might be forced or required to join a working group because of IP issues. And what?
Sorry, I'm just going to try and shorten this a little bit.
Is forced to join a working group.
No, not forced, but I mean IPs for, IPs regulations, which means you have to join.
Well, no, hang on. Let's be precise here. Specification-based projects are needed to be associated with one and only one working group for intellectual property reasons. Spec-based projects.
Okay, that's a good specification then. Specs.
And that is that, and you're absolutely right. It is got to do with the way the intellectual property and governance that was established in order to support the unique requirements of specifications, as opposed to open source projects. It was done that way.
And patents as well. But thank you so much. Go ahead, John.
Well, I was just going to try and move on. I just want to say, thanks, Sean, for all the hard work. And I just kind of wanted to move on to the next topic if we can. All right, which is marketing. I think Neha has been on PTO, so I'm not sure who's going to take the marketing topic. She's back, but she was on PTO.
We can skip if there's no updates.
Yeah, if there's no updates, we can skip.
Yeah, the only update I might have is I finished the June and July marketing meetings, hosting the marketing meetings. So I will hand it over to Debbie, and I have already documented everything I learned from the entire experience, which was very great. So I'll help with the transition for the next meeting. So I'll be there. You'll see me around.
And Neha, is it possible that we have never had a retrospective go here. Can you take a minute or two to tell us, an insight, and also that documentation, we need to convert that into wiki, which you are going to help on that, and then we need to socialize it in a community forum. But can you use 1 minute to tell us?
No, hold on. This is a status call, right? We're trying to keep it as a status call, so keep it very brief, please.
Very brief, 1 minute.
Okay, you put me on the spot, but I'll try. Well, the entire experience made me learn a lot about organizing, being good at documentation, reporting everything, like how to keep track of things by raising Git issues, which was very good in a way to understand what the process is all about, how MicroProfile is giving the directions. So I learned a lot from here, and I was never alone. To point that out, like I never felt that I had to do everything all by myself and nobody is there to help me out. I had help at every step on the way. So for me, the experience was pretty great, and yeah, I would like to do it again in future.
All right, thank you very much, Neha.
1 minute.
All right, thanks, and thanks, Debbie, for taking over next month. So on to branding and compatibility. That's Amelia and TBA.
What does TBA mean?
To be announced, which is different than TBD and the other.
Yeah, I know. We already, anyway, what, okay, go ahead. Whoever is leading this item.
John.
I see my name on there.
Yeah. Okay, what
I didn't add the agenda item, but that's okay.
So sorry about this. What I did is I added items that we decided on last week's steering committee call. There are 2 items that are important that the community needs to discuss. One of them is about deciding who gets to say they are compatible. It said only Emily has thus far sent a note. Yesterday we talked a little bit about this and on the marketing call, right? And this is a reply that we have. We need to socialize this. We have socialized it in the community forum. And the other item There you go, components. And all, because David sent a message that is not David's task to complete, but he sent the messages, I added him. But this is the responsibility of everyone. And these are 2 topics that need to be tackled by this community. There are no deadlines, but we need to hopefully get them done by the end of this quarter.
Yeah. I guess that was my question. What's the deadline for the compatibility program?
We don't have a deadline, but the sooner the better. Right, Paul? And Paul is here as a guest.
I see. Hold on. Let other people talk.
Yeah.
What is the deadline for the compatibility program?
I'm not aware of one.
Yeah, I don't think
should
we
make
put
one?
it in the actual program plan. It's you know, technically it's 2021, but
should we put a stake in the sand or the mud, as you said earlier?
A soft stake in the mud.
Q4, you know, like have it done by the time 5 is shipped.
Whoa.
Maybe.
Why not be more aggressive?
We can. I'm fine with that. I'm just
end of September.
No, like I did say Q3, end of Q3, but it has been sapped. Paul, it has been sapped. You have been attending the trade.
Who votes for end of September and who votes for the end of Q3?
Gosh.
I was doing the math in my head during that whole discussion.
Sorry.
Sorry.
So anyway, so fine. Both of those sound like a good deadline.
I have a
Is that
suggestion.
what we want? Go ahead, Paul.
I could draft a little plan for you with dates. You could take a look at it.
That will not work. That will not work. Don't waste your time. Let's do
suggested.
Let's do end of Q3 very aggressively because we're working on these things. Only these 2 topics need to be tackled. Everything else is being worked on. But these 2 topics have not been tackled. So I'm asking, we need to make everyone that cares about the compatibility to write up in the forums and say, I would like MicroProfile to keep low bar to entry. If a project gets compatible, it can be added as a guest, invited as a guest, and it can use the logo. These kind of things, you know, is one topic, right? How do we do it? The other topic is a little bit more complex, I think, and it might take more time. But one of them is so easy, right?
Okay, I think that's a very long way of saying we're pitting ourselves to end of September.
Yes.
That means we got to have all the aspects of the compatibility program completed. And for those 2 threads, those are just 2 of the things that we got to nail down in the overall compatibility program. In terms of the threads, I intentionally did not steer anybody either way or list pros and cons so that the conversation didn't feel over before it started. But ultimately, if no one digs in, we're just going to have to make a decision.
Would it make sense for me to join the marketing hangout on Monday and for us to walk through that spreadsheet again that we looked at roughly 4 weeks ago?
Paul, we're setting up the call. It's not the one-off calls for the trademark compatibility are not set up. With Emily, we're working on it. And if it's completed sometime this week before Thursday, we will have the call because we need to move forward. But if it's not, we will have to skip it and wait until the next time. So I will send the minutes as I do to the working group and we will like socialize it. So don't not even worry, but we're on this because we want to get moving forward. Thanks for asking.
I think Paul is suggesting marketing call is not like
there is no call. There is no call scheduled for Monday.
Yeah, right. And so week after Monday will be the marketing call.
Yes.
Okay.
And then
I'm off the week after, unfortunately. Yep. August 2nd, I'm unavailable.
Yep. Paul, you will get the
doesn't have to be. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm available. Like if I can be totally flexible to accommodate your times, providing I'm not out on vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to push for the Q3 the calls back. Okay. So if we do it, the first one will start next Monday. But if it doesn't, it will just go as follows, as it has been.
All right. I'll watch the mailing list.
Yes. Thank you, Paul.
So I'll just recap. My expectations that thread is not for people to go and say, I decide this, or this is what I would prefer. Just ask questions or start some conversation.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I intentionally didn't make it like choose A or B. Like it was just, here are our options. There's probably a lot of discussions we can have on either option.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty neutral.
Yeah. And so, you know, start asking questions like, well, if we did this, what would this entail? Or whatever. Anyway, just dig in.
All right. So let's do our best over the next, you know, few days or through the end of the week, see if we can continue that conversation in the thread. Okay.
And thank you, Emily, for responding.
You're welcome.
Okay, infrastructure website, David and Ruslan.
So I'll just say that there's a lot of, if you want to like I'll just try and be super brief about this. There's no real updates, but I just want to talk about expectations for the remainder of the year. If you want to pop that open, I put a link in chat, John. That's our
in chat. Okay.
Yeah, that's our items.
Copy and open a new tab. Sorry, gotta find my cursor.
Perfect. Okay. Oh, you went the dark theme. Yeah, I'm gonna center that page a little bit, like scroll down. Oop, there you go. All right. So there's a lot of really, what I'll call aggressive and fancy ideas, which are great. But, you know, for example, getting pages for specific personas that came up in the program plan, people suggested stuff like that. You know, I don't myself imagine leading efforts like that, but if there are volunteers who would like to do things like that, that's really fantastic, as well as adding more technical content to the website that would require some deliberate discussion about kind of redoing the website or expanding it. The one thing that I know that we discussed very specifically and never really executed on was we were supposed to be putting pages up for each individual specification version. I think that'd be something that we should definitely execute this year. And I really, really want to do it, but with the resource that I have for it is busy, trash all the Groovy based stuff. Those would be the two things I would really like to see happen this year, but probably more towards Q4. You know, other items on there, if anybody has any interest in them, volunteers, very, very accepted. Even the items that are listed, if they're volunteers on that, then that's accepted as well.
Yeah, just reply to the issue directly, probably.
Yeah. So anyway, just taking this opportunity to put the issues back in front of people's faces, and maybe we can reevaluate if we're actually really interested in some of these. If we can't get volunteers on some of these by, like, say, Q4, maybe we just, you know, put them in the back burner.
Okay, thanks, David. Technical goals, any updates? Emily, Roberto, or Edward?
I think we covered mainly we discussed the releases and also the new spec ideas and etc. I don't know, Roberto or Edwin, do you want to add anything else?
Okay.
No.
Alrighty. CN4J. So the CN4J messaging presentation has been approved by both the MicroProfile working group and the Jakarta steering committee and the Jakarta steering committee. Oops, I thought there was a link to the actual presentation. But anyway,
Sorry, John. I just used the update.
No worries.
Accepted.
Yep, no worries. So we are, that is an officially approved presentation by both. So congratulations everyone for the work there. But that brings up the next topic that is on CN4J technical alignment. So we need to kind of have this discussion now, because it was part of the CN4J kind of forming. It was one of the top two major items, the first being marketing, the second being technical. What's driving this a little bit too, I think, is MicroProfile config and the Jakarta config, right? So we're going to need some alignment discussions there. I think for this meeting coming next Tuesday, really the topic is going to be really about what's the scope of what we want to discuss and how do we plan to discuss it, right? Those two things. I don't know specifically if we're going to get into any technical issues, for example, around config or anything else, right? But we just need to have a discussion on how, more or less, what and how to discuss. Any other comments on CN4J?
I will do that. John, I sent you a private message and I'm not going to repeat it because it's we already discussed it here. My recommendation is that in the MicroProfile community forum, we have the community drive, we have the minutes for the calls. And I recommend that we create a folder in there, not under the community. For the marketing side, we created a specific folder under community that everyone in the world had access. In the MicroProfile minutes, we also have the same thing where everyone has access. And I recommend we also create a minutes there in CN4J where we talk with in the community forum for that topic and say, hey, this is, can we use this to move not only this call, but future calls? And like that, we continue to have a tracking of all the discussions. And this will include the pilot is already done. So what I did was to place the minutes in the exports that is hosted drive under the Eclipse Foundation. However, we should get used to hosting it under a place where everyone has access. Those ones are PDFs, but I'm talking about the process because it can get super messy. We have two projects.
Sounds like that's the goal of the meeting,
yeah.
right?
That's exactly, David. Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth. This sounds like it's a very good topic to discuss during the alignment call.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a comment. That's vacation related again. Unfortunately, I'm on vacation next week and a week after that. And basically the whole of Jakarta config team, Oracle team, is off next week too. So my suggestion is actually to move that discussion from next week to later, because I'm afraid that this discussion may be disbalanced.
Me too. Dimitri, you nailed it. I actually sent a message saying why we have this already informing when it was not socialized in the forum to make sure that we're okay.
Said that already, John. You were going to try and make a statement there.
Well, we were going to discuss config specifically. Really, it's just what it's more around process and scope as opposed to technical details. Is there anyone else at Oracle who could cover for that?
There are definitely Ed is going to be here, Will is going to be there. But if you want to hear a perspective of Oracle team, which is doing Jakarta config, then we should participate on the meeting. As I said, because I have a feeling that it may look disbalanced if it won't happen. That's my concern.
Okay, let me bounce it off of Will as kind of the, I guess, for lack of a better phrase, kind of the co-lead of CN4J. So, and I'll leave it up to Will to some degree, right, to provide his input there as well, because this is what we discussed briefly on the Jakarta steering committee call, and it wasn't, it was just, hey, we need to have this discussion. How's next week look, right? And because it was
I think I left
an off week
before
of the Jakarta call.
I had to leave half an hour earlier, so possibly it's been discussed. Then I was off already, and then to another meeting. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but my other point is that we have members that are not a part of the Jakarta project.
I know this was going to
IR.
come, Amelia. I fully
Yes.
understand.
Yeah.
It was just immediate. It was just a convenient expediency where we normally have this call on the off weeks of the Jakarta meeting. Next week there wasn't a Jakarta meeting, and so the topic came up there because there's nothing going on next week in Jakarta. So I mean,
and we're discussing
stay-
here too.
Yeah, we're discussing it here too. You know, otherwise I got to start setting up polls, right? And it's just not very expedient to do that. So if that's not a good time, then we can set it up for you know, the following off week. So we're going to push this out 3 weeks.
It works for me.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else? No. Funny thing is, I might be off that week, but that's okay. Right? I'll delegate to Scott, who's on the call. I think still, if I'm off that week. Sorry, I haven't done the math, calendar math yet. All right. So I'll cancel that meeting and I'll see if I can reschedule it for the following off week during the Jakarta Steering Committee meeting. Okay.
Hey, thank you.
Yep. Additional goals. I don't want to speak for Rudy, but
12 o'clock.
oh, we are. Oh my God.
Yes.
It was just so engaging.
We
right.
love you, John, for doing the job no one wants to do. Remember, we provide feedback here. We can call each other. It has been like a fascinating call. I enjoyed it, and I'm saying, you know, I was cranky. I have to
If
say.
you wanted, you could make his job a little easier.
I do my best, and John can call my
right.
own nonsense like he does.
All right. Yeah, actually, it's a good point. We're at the top of the hour. So, hey, thanks everyone for joining. Next week, this time is the technical call. So Roberto and Emily, if you can, try and maybe send out an agenda a little bit ahead of time. And then in 2 weeks, same bat time, same bat channel, we'll be having this call. So thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care, guys. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.